Hey y'all. I have spent the last few episodes talking about magic squares, the trivium, the lost word, and probably a lot of tarot, a lot of nonsense that you wonder, what in the world does this have to do with Bible study? What does this have to do with the Bible? And it all started with I was just trying to learn Hebrew, really. And then I heard that the Hebrew letters and the tarot cards had a connection. I started laying them out. I started seeing patterns. And from there, I was just interested. I wanted to go deeper. I wanted to learn more. But what I was really interested in was the genealogy. We found all this other interesting stuff in the Bible. You know, the echo from Genesis 1 to Genesis 2. Eve and Mary, Old Testament, New Testament, oral and written. There was just all of these echoes and all of these other interesting little tidbits, all in these 6, 9, 12 letters. So I was curious, would we be able to find the genealogy, these biblical names, in this first word? And we've gone through our study and we found where we could fit in Adam and Eve and Joshua and Aaron and Jesus and Mary Magdalene and a lot of other characters. Obviously the tribes of Israel, especially as it grew to be a 4x3 grid, that was easy to put them in, which in turn made it easy for us to find the very beginning of the Scarlet Thread. The Scarlet Thread is a biblical story from Genesis 38. It's the story of Judah. He's got 3 sons. You know, the character Shin, by the way, has 3 points going up. 2 of them die. And the widow of the oldest is given the second, and they still have no heirs. She's given the third. Well, she's told to wait for the third, but it never comes. So she disguises herself as a prostitute, and Judah impregnates her, and he has 2 sons. These sons are Perez and Zerah. Zerah has a scarlet thread tied around his wrist, and he is sent away. He's known as Zerah the Aegean, however you say it. Now, the interesting thing I thought about that story is that I had found this document, the genealogy of Adam to Queen Elizabeth II. And this was when I got stymied, this is when I started studying the first word of the Bible. I'm not a genealogist, but I thought this was interesting for a friend of mine who is a genealogist for a couple of reasons. 1, it's the royal family. And 2, all of these Irish names. There are 53 Irish names in a row. And these are not all famous people. The number in parentheses denotes length of reign of Irish kings. Not all of them have a reign, so not all of them were kings. They're not all royals. And yet you still find names in here like Eugain the Great, Khan of 100 battles, Niall of 9 hostages, Queen Tia-Tephi. But up here in the portion labeled generations, well, we have Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Judah. But then it skips to Hezron. It skips to Hezron. That to me was so interesting. I didn't catch it right away. It took me a long, long time to catch that error. And I thought, why would they leave that out? Was it just a mistake? Was it just an error? But then it occurred to me, you know, if they changed the Bible, if they just took that story out, Genesis 38, or just that one detail that they tied the scarlet thread around that baby's wrist, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know that here, number 50, Queen Tia-Tephi, Mary's Harriman, a prince of the scarlet thread. So we had all these other things here at the beginning. Just in these first 6 letters, 4th letter for the 4th son, encoded into the first word of the Bible. This genealogy encoded into the first word of the Bible, into the letter Shin. Among the other stories, because I also told you the story of Venus from this letter, and I have yet to tell you the story of Lilith from this letter. We also, by virtue of the magic square, see how Judah's line became the royal line by virtue of these 3 brothers losing their inheritance. And we saw how his heirs went on to also, it showed up in the reading. Here and here. Zerah being the 7th letter, or starting with the 7th letter, which corresponds with the 7th card, the Chariot, because he's sent away. This letter looks different now, but it still wears a crown. And it's considered a 1-letter name of God. So yeah, when we're looking at these first 12 letters of the Bible, we're looking at an object that is changing, that is moving, and has a tremendous amount of meaning based on its individual components, the macrocosm, the microcosm, and how it works as a whole, and the different relationships, numeric, alphabetic, archetypal, historical, etc. And that was the process that I called quantum grammar. Well, thanks for hanging out with me. Peace out. I'll catch you next time.